Alright, draft physics video. I'm going to do some comments, but I just finished doing the draft on the strong force, and I was just playing around thinking about, well, what's a helium nucleus look like? Because that's the one that actually can travel and do some stuff, which is sort of interesting. But anyway, and I started thinking about it, and yeah, I couldn't make it out of traditional numbers, but if I just modify the neutrons a little, in the sense that we have a neutron with a shared electron, the helium nucleus just turns into a kick-asser. It's these 4 protons and an electron, and you can sort of understand that if this thing is jiggling, moving, that the force between the electron is still repulsive and strong, and the attractive force from an electron to the proton would be mixed, in the sense that all of these forces are leaving perpendicular. So in a sense it would be a very inert, a substance that nothing would like. I mean, you couldn't bind to it, because you couldn't bind to the protons because they're not giving you a very strong bond, and the electron is inaccessible because it's shielded by the protons. It just makes a very interesting model. Yeah, and I was just thinking about the fact that when you super cool these elements, I was just thinking about the conductivity, all the other issues it brings up, because when they're rigid, when you take the noise out, you really do change an awful lot of the dynamic, because then you have all these holes, all these places where if it wasn't for the noise, everything's moving, and so the pressure's mixed, like these arrows. Say if these things rotated, you could kind of get the idea that they would keep shooting perpendicular, would be a different vector from each position, and they'd be just sending out a shield of force. Where if they're not moving, it's a whole different ball game, and they can all lock together. So anyway, so I was thinking, of having some sort of pool. And I know, so you can't do things with money or legally what you could do. But anyway, it's just how long it will take the naysayers before they concede. When will they jump on this rational wagon and concede this is the better model? They made a mistake. That's all. Physics made a mistake. A couple of wrong assumptions at the wrong time, and they fucked physics. And you fix those couple of mistakes, and this thing gets powerful. I mean, so visual, so obvious, so mechanical. And so, I was just thinking of having a pool for like the Piros and the Hoffa days. Even Conference Report, he ragged. Darwin's hamster. I mean, none of those people are paying attention now, let's just say. But how long will it take each one of these people to concede they were fucking wrong? How long? Who will have the intellectual integrity to admit their error first? Good question, right? So I have to put a list together of who the other naysayers are. The rest of them are just, these spammy creatures, that have no integrity. Don't put their mouth, don't put their reputation where their mouth is. I mean, even Ken Wheeler, as obnoxious as that putz is, picking on dead people and such, he's done it publicly. I mean, he's fucked in the sense that he's made claims he can't back up. He's broken promises, essentially. I remember a couple of months ago he made a video about some new innovation that's going to just revolutionize AC motors and blah blah, all this stuff. It was just, yeah, any day now it's going to come out, this big truth. No follow-up. He's done that before. No big, nothing produced. So I'm just saying, at least his face, okay, is talking the words. So his humiliation, he's invested his humiliation. He's invested the risk of it. Where these trolls, they invest nothing. These idiots. And they don't make any arguments to the fundamental fact that this theory just keeps finding answers to questions that haven't been answered for, you know, a long time. And yeah, so you know, my confidence is growing, of course, and you know, please put your face to it. If you're going to make some crap comments, have the balls to man up and put your real name and your real reputation at stake, you cowards. I mean, if you're going to talk this kind of trash, I mean, it's sort of the minimum obligation. Because you're just a creepy, vile coward otherwise. Just the creepiest kind of human coward. You know, hiding in your, you know, behind your little rock. Not being accountable for what you say. I mean, that's just disgusting. Alright, comments. Luke Allen. So anyway, the video on called whatever, the ecology of force / physics, probably the best video I've made, where I played the Feynman and just sort of elaborated where he had it wrong. But you know, I think it's simple enough for, you know, people who don't have much extensive knowledge in the subject to get the idea, and it's specific enough for somebody who has some sort of physics background to see that these are real questions that are being answered. Magnetism is explained. The strong force is explained. Those are big deals, not little deals. But anyway, okay, so Luke Allen, he's posted a couple of comments. I played along, but I'm just giving you a fair warning, Luke. We're done playing this, whatever it is you want, personal tutoring. You don't want to go to the trouble to go to the website. You don't want to watch the videos called Overview or something like that. You don't want to pay any attention whatsoever. And you want me to personally take you through the whole thing, the whole physics course, step by step. And ignore the audience. Ignore the people who expect me not to be gratuitously redundant. Just for you. To convince one asswipe, sorry, with an icon that's all spirograph bullshit. I mean, you're probably some kind of Ken Wheeler fan. What the hell do I know about you? Why should I invest so much time in you? You can't figure this stuff out for your own, that you should give me some reason to think you're worth persuading? You're just not worth the trouble. I mean, when it's, I'm just going to, you know, it's just such a stupid opening sentence. Are you saying that tiny particles create a pressure force that generates gravity? And he's saying that to the ecology video, where I explicitly said that and explained that. But again, it's the first image on my website. It's in at least half the videos I've made. Yeah, it's the fundamental premise of the theory that the most powerful force in the universe was destroyed by Albert Einstein. It was shoved into some dopey bent space drawer where it can't do anything. There's another point I wanted to bring up about that, because it's the conservation thing. See, the only way Einstein got away with that was because when you activate the force through gravity, it has this illusion of conservation, in the sense that, okay, there's no conservation if you're just going from point A to point B. So point A would be the moon, and you go to Earth, you've cheated. You've gotten free energy. But the idea is you have to give it back to leave the Earth. So that's the conservation. But it's sort of a trick. And, it's a cheat. And it's really a cheat when they do it with magnetism. You can see the cheat's more overt, because the virtual photons, there's not really any obvious path for the conservation. You move the electrons and there's no obvious more energy. You got this free, you create this energy by moving the electrons. And there's no obvious give back. Alright, anyway. So I don't know what to say, Luke. Like I said, it's the fundamental premise of this channel is the idea that the first idea that led to everything else was, yeah, it's particle gravity. Do the tiny particles shed layers? What does that even mean? You know, I've gone over this 4 million times. They're indestructible, hard things like photons. Do photons shed layers? I should just block you. This is just too stupid. What are you asking me a silly question like that? I can't, like an onion being peeled. I mean, on my website, I have pictures of kinetic interactions. There's no half interaction. I said that in the fucking video. He's writing this comment on. I said that. No partial interaction, no half interaction, no quarter interaction. This is not an acceptable question. Anyway, the closer they get to the dense boundary of an object, such as the Earth, so that more can fit in the spherical band around the objects, like the Earth, yeah, well, whatever. No need. I've already been over these arguments over and over again. So to be redundant, go look up Mach gravity, or go look up the idea of putting two big things in a field of little things that are randomly moving, and you'll find out that the two big things end up moving into each other. That's the end result, and they don't have to turn into onions to do it. It's kinetics, ass wipe, douche, fucker. I mean, this is just so, I'm sorry, but no one else can see just how obnoxiously rude it is to ask these kind of stupid fucking questions that I've already been over so many times, and that are on the right in the first paragraph of my website. Do the tiny particles grow like onions, adding layers? He's asking the same question again. The further they get from the dense boundary of an object, like the Earth now. I don't understand. You're asking the same question twice. Fucking idiot. Anyway, this would explain why discrete... No, that won't explain a motherfucking thing. Onions won't explain fucking gravity. You fucking idiot. So go ahead. Maybe you can sell that to Ken Wheeler, but you're not going to sell shit like that to me. I always knew onion wasn't the answer. I knew that when I was a fucking fetus. I knew onion wasn't going to be the answer to gravity, you stupid cunt. Anyway, this would explain why the discrete... would explain why we decelerate as we try to rocket out of Earth's atmosphere. You don't do any of this decelerating crap, idiot. So you obviously don't know shit. You go faster and faster as you get in weaker and weaker gravity, and as you keep increasing your velocity. That's what the consequence of increasing your velocity is. You go faster. They intentionally orbit, idiot. They don't. It's not like they can't go further. You stupid fuck. As we move up, we are having to process larger and larger onions. Here we go, around the rocket's perimeter, which slows it down. As the rocket descends the Earth's surface, the onions are smaller and smaller, so we can move through more of them given an amount of time, and therefore accelerate. Well, anyway, fuck you. Too stupid. Way too stupid. So anyway, some guy called Bobby Pisher, okay, so it's the same asshole, the cowboy, I don't know who, but, you know, fake names. I don't even read your comments, by the way, so I'm just letting you know. I just delete them, or I block you. And so you can waste as much time as you want, but you're not wasting it getting to me. So he says, so much to do, so much to see, so what's wrong with using text-to-speech? I don't even know what his critique is or his complaint. Who cares? totally irrelevant. And then, Angela, who, kind of asked to just, don't bother. I don't do hieroglyphics. I've said this 4 million times, but I don't do hieroglyphics. All right? It's a dead language. If you can't say something explicit, then just leave me alone. I just don't do whatever that is. I don't do that. So don't do it to me. So it says neither does third move to checkmate equals f4. I'm supposed to know what the fuck that means. I don't know what the fuck that means. I have no fucking clue what that fucking means. You're doing this Venus thing, okay? I'm really in the center of Mars. I just let you know that. I'm way deep in the center of Mars. I don't even, Venus. I don't do Venus. Alright, so we'll delete that Luke thing. It really is a thing. It's a monstrosity of a comment. Oh, so another Bobby Pisher. I guess I blocked him after these comments were already made. I see you couldn't handle the truth. That's right, you made like 7 comments, and one of them said something like, Feynman never denied the existence of 500 experiments. Well, I never did either. I'm actually arguing within the framework of the observed experiments, idiot. So, you want to cite your hard evidence, go ahead. You got hard evidence that what I'm saying can't possibly be true. Well, go ahead and show it. But you're not doing that, you little lying piece of scum. And I've already been over these arguments. There's real valid critiques to be made about the quality of the lensing evidence. I didn't invent the flaws in the evidence, asshole. Merely because I am man enough to stand up and say, yeah, well, physics should demand a little better evidence than that. I've committed the outrage. I've told the Pope he's wearing the wrong colored tie. I'll be sentenced to hell. Anyway, the raindrop analogy was a general audience. Was for a general audience. Well, it's cited on the Wikipedia page as some sort of real argument. It's in his book of, the compiled book, as if it's a real argument. So you want to, this is pussy, is what all that is. So you're saying he has some better argument somewhere? No. This argument is a simple old argument that, until you account for this friction problem, he's not going to consider the idea. Now that would be fine, right? If they just said something like, look, it has a problem, friction. And then they could say, you got to fix that. But no, they say, it's impossible. They don't know it's impossible to fix it. They don't know it's impossible that the neutron could be just the important part of the neutron could be that it's really just carrying an electron. No, that's not possible. I mean, it was a weak, casual, arrogant, hubristic debunk. It had no scientific integrity. It was so weak. Alright. The math doesn't work. Well, that's, again, I'm not going to go over this. I've already been over this. They didn't call it mock gravity because the math doesn't work. So there's no math that says it doesn't work. So again, those are all based on your wrong assumptions. So you want to not pay attention to the arguments I've made about kinetic interactions, that head-on collisions produce a result that could be identical to no collision. You want to pretend those arguments haven't been made. Go ahead and pretend they haven't been made, but you're not going to do it on my message board. You're not going to do it in my face. Just ignore the arguments I've made. You're such a fucking coward. Why don't you put your name on this, your real name? Why don't you stake your reputation on this piece of shit of a comment? You coward. You fucking coward. Ugh. Alright. The math doesn't work unless you reject conservation of energy. So, again, recall the elastic inelastic discussion. And yeah, recall the word kinetic said 468 million times. So again, you can keep saying something like there hasn't been an argument made, but the argument has been made, and it's one hell of a fucking argument. So just keep pretending, liar. Also, it's not just with raindrops. Any particle in space, so any particle of any properties, he knows what they all do. He has the book of everything, and he's read out of it. In space would have that property. So again, he's telling me what properties things have to have, and they'll have a property that means they can't possibly navigate the universe without friction. And I've pointed out how there's lots of ways it can do it, actually. More than one way to create a mechanism that hurls through space. How would they not? Well, I've explained it in video after video. Good God, you're an obnoxious piece of shit. No, you're the obnoxious coward. You're such a flaming fucking coward. I mean, I defy you. How much do I have to pay you to put your real name on these slanderous, shitty comments? Because I will bury you in the future, fucker. Bury you deep on the shit pile of douchebags that lived on Earth. Alright, now, Faith Angela says, 1972, for the wind equals I'm moving to Iceland. How is that, how can that be anywhere near relevant? I just don't get it. Alright, so something called mindless marbles. I don't think it could be mindless marbles because he was such an asshole. I just don't think it could be him. This was a very enlightening video. So he said that about the one on the economy. Superior Mind on the videos before that one said, bravo, the last couple of videos illustrate some of the concepts quite well. Always fascinating. Yes, the last 4 or 5 videos were great videos, good videos, explaining subjects well, mostly. The velocity one's going to always be complicated because I still haven't got all the details of that figured out, but I'm a lot closer now that I did this whole helium nucleus thing, because it's the nucleuses that make the thing go. Now I have to do the cat thing. I asked you, what do you want? I mean, I give you food, I give you this, I give you that. I fluff your cushion. Take my schedule. Fuck you, your schedule. Fuck you. Yeah. It's really not that bad. I mean, it's not like he was doing anything specific. He was just sitting there looking at me. And so it was my own sense of obligation that compelled me to do something. Alright. So, another guy, I don't know. There was only 8 likes, I think, on the ecology of physics force video. Like I said, it's one of the best videos I've made, and to me it just really points out how you're not going to beat this. I mean, you can't argue with it. It answers the question, why do magnets attract? It answers the frickin' question. In a simple, easy to understand way. It's just, I just don't, Well, anyway. How long will it take for the idiots on Earth to get it? I mean, we just ought to have a contest. Who's going to be the last losers to find a chair? They can't play musical chairs. They're going to show up last. Anyway. Hiya, Gary. It's Colin Andrew. Okay, I'm not interested anymore, really. What is the speed of gravity? I mean, it's just too stupid. I've already explained this. The force, the bits, all move the speed of light. Every single force. The bits move the speed of light. That's the speed of the force. We were taught it was 9.81 miles per second. No, you weren't taught that. That's how fast matter moves in the gravity on the surface of the Earth. That's it. That's you go up a few feet, the number changes. You see. So you're stupid. And acceleration was that squared. Well, it's not really squared. It's not that squared. It's just that every second. You add 9.8 meters per second. But how can this be true? Surely it's much faster. So again, it's retarded. You don't understand the difference between, you could say, you know, how fast is the light moving from the flame from the back of a rocket? You could ask a lot of stupid questions. What, you think it's the light's moving as slow as the flame? How fast do you think the flame is moving? I mean, this is gibberish. Alright, another thing. Oh, fuck you. That interests me. Well, yeah, I guess I really don't give a fuck what interests you. Is a homopolar motor. Oh, this is another stupid gimmick thing. I don't think I'll go into this whole, well, I'll read it real quick. I made one a year ago by suspending a beer can by the tab to the magnet via a paper clip. The magnet was suspended or stuck to a 1.5 battery, negative side, the big type, like you put in a ghetto blaster. Yeah, you don't know what a D battery is. I mean, you don't know that it's called a D battery. And there's C batteries, and then there's AA. I don't know why there's no B's. But anyway, you don't know that? The pros, the positive end used some aluminum foil from a cig pack which touched the circumference of the beer can empty. It went anti-clockwise, oh, Jesus, counterclockwise you mean, at a fair speed, and changing the polarity changed the direction of rotation, I guess, yes. The question is, how fast would the rotation speed be if it were in a vacuum? Well, I don't think it would make much difference. There's not much impeding the rotation besides the mass. In a vacuum, for a spinning beer can, it's not going to make that big a difference. It is the speed thing that got me thinking. Well, I don't know which way it was spinning, if you're saying the whole can was spinning or whether you're saying the can rotated. I can't really tell from this slop. But anyway, anybody got any answer? It's not on the fucking subject. You know, I'm really not doing this shit, you know? I mean, you can't find a video that's more appropriate? I mean, I'm sure there's lots of videos on your little homo thing, and you can go talk to the homos about their homos, you know. Well, anyway, this whole thing is just so stupid. It's just a gimmick, right? You take a battery and some conductor and two or three, you know, strong magnet at the base of the battery. And you're using the battery as another magnet, essentially. So when you put the battery on top of the magnets, what you're basically doing is create a conductor through the magnet's surface, because they have chrome on them, and to the base of the battery, and now the casing of the battery, which is metal, becomes another magnet. Okay, it magnetizes. So the current, the polarity of that magnet is producing force lines, and the wire is going to be also induced when you move it through that magnetic field. It's going to create another magnetic field that's going to be in opposition. And so once you get it rotating, all you're really doing is rotating on the incompatibilities between the induced magnetic field and the static one that's been created by the battery. So anyway, it's a parlor trick. I mean, you can't figure out when something doesn't really mean anything. You know, it's not some sort of Tesla hidden secret or something. Ugh. Alright, so Superior Mind responded, but I don't know why. The forces themselves, like gravity, magnetism, move at a single velocity, c. It's just that your particles are being held in one position by the surrounding equilibrium. That's not... No. The simple answer is, you're a big, fat piece of shit, and the particles are little. And it takes a while for the little particles to go into all that fat shit and move all the fat shit. And so you don't move as fast as the particles, because the particles are little. Okay? And you're a big piece of fat shit. So it takes a lot of particles hitting for a while before it can get it up to speed. It's like if you want to move an elephant 50 miles an hour by shooting a cork gun at it, you can sort of imagine that you'd have to shoot a hell of a lot of fucking corks. That would have been the simple answer. So yeah, nobody needs to read this rubbish, not on the subject, bullshit comment. So I'm deleting it because it's not on the fucking subject. Okay. Half a day, huh? What a waste of time. Seriously, a bit of conspiracy theorist. But I think Microsoft helps the electronics and software industry out by moving its operating system in ways that will knowingly render old drivers unreliable. Moving its operating system in ways, that's kind of a weird way to say it. Yeah, Microsoft's obviously a villain, but clearly Google and all the rest of them are in on it too. They all have advantages into selling more product and making things unfunctional. So people have to buy the new version. But really, not on the subject either. Physics, I mean, the little tiny thing I mentioned about the fact that I can't play the damn videos on YouTube. But I can play them, which is interesting. I can play them on my forum page. So that is sort of interesting. See, this is the draft on the strong force. I just loaded that, and yeah, I can play it right away. No problem. See, I already played a little bit of it. And I'll have to wait a day to play it in the actual YouTube window. So, quite obviously, YouTube is, the video's available. It can be played on my computer. It's just that they don't want it to play because they want me to use Chrome. Simple answer. Alright. You know, they're taking advantage wherever they can. If they can break the functionality and obligate you to use their shit, they'll do it in little sneaky ways that you'll never be able to win in court. Another insanely stupid comment by some Yavav Yikajikadick. Physics is all about approximations. If you were a good physicist, then you would neglect tiny things for simplicity. I mean, the typical rationalization. And yes, and every time I would even try to talk in generalities, I'll get harangued by these assholes about how you don't have any specific details. You didn't explain where matter came from in the universe. You didn't explain any of that. You didn't explain how God made it. So fuck you. You're obviously not paying any attention to what's gone on this fucking channel since its inception, where I've just been badgered by assholes for every fucking detail possible, even though their bent space has no details. And certainly their Copenhagen doesn't have any details. Alright. So, another mindless marbles. Like I said, I don't think it's a real one. Well, this is an interesting draft. I think more people should ask questions. You just didn't think that before. One thing that I wish could be clarified: how do the diamond atoms create filters? By creating domains. The black thing is at one end, the red thing's at the other end, like the neutron. And when they line up, they become a little magnet stacked on top of a magnet, stacked on top of a magnet, stacked on top of a magnet, becomes a bigger magnet. That's how. And the fact that the diamonds lined up, I'm not saying they're diamond shaped, I'm just saying that was a good enough example. When you take one diamond and you put another diamond next to it, They're staggered. They're out of phase. And that's what you have to do to have positive next to negative for the attraction thing to work. If the two magnets are right next to each other, they'll hate each other. But if they're off like that, then they'll love each other. That's why. Alright, and then F417H says, I don't know for certain, but asking questions is a great suggestion. Well, whatever. Okay, that's reasonable enough, but I don't think it. When the questions are stupid, I don't see any purpose. So here's another Luke Allen thing. Thanks. So I responded to his other bullshit litany of nonsense, and now he types a whole big pile of crap, and probably none of it will be anything I give a shit about. None of it will be on the subject. But anyway, might as well read it since we're here. Thanks for the response. My response to your video response. When I say volume, I'm talking about what you call space. Well, then that's just idiotic, right? Oh, the volume of the nothing. I mean, it's just breaking language. An empty three-dimensional construct consisting of only length, width, and height. Yes, the tall nothing. I mean, it's just stupid. It can't have any of those things if it's nothing that matter occupies. Well, it's, you know, again, the very idea of creating a nothing and then putting, oh, let's put a little border around it in a frame, and then we'll put stuff in it and say it's in the nothing. No. That's all your silly construct. But anyway, okay, fine. You call volume nothing. Alright, fine. It's retarded. But go ahead, do whatever. I don't give a fuck. Fuck the language all you want. But you're probably not going to be able to do it here too much longer. When I say substance, I'm talking about the matter that makes up atoms. Well, when I say substance, I'm talking about anything that's an anything. If it's a something, yep, that's a substance. Something equals substance. Nothing doesn't equal substance. Anyway. Molecules, humans, planets, galaxies, etc. Substance is within the volume and moves through volume. So again, I'm just, this is all your ether theory shit or whatever, fine. Go talk to Ken Wheeler about it. There's no volume. There's things. Things have properties. The nothing has no properties. The things have properties. Things go from here to here, okay, and, you know, guided by rules. They cover distance. They can be measured by how many things, okay, how many thing thicknesses. Not nothing thicknesses, thing thicknesses. Anyway. Together, the substance and volume can make a material universe. Well, yes, you have to have some nothing between the different somethings, or the somethings couldn't be distinguished as different things, could they, if they were all blended into one thing? But without a force, nothing would happen. Yay! You got that part right anyway. But the force is a something, so that's the part you don't have right. It would just be a static thing that never moves. So I also talk about force. Where? In the loop channel? I didn't go to the loop channel. Which is simply something that governs the movement or change of substance. Well, that's obviously has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So why do I give a fuck about your counter theory? I'm selling my theory, shithead. Sell yours on your own channel. For fuck's sake. Together, volume, substance, and force are all that is needed to create a framework to reason about physics. Yes, all you need is matter and force. That's it. You don't even have to worry about the fucking volume. We need all three no, you don't need the volume thing. That'll take care of itself. The nothing takes care of itself. Shit. To talk about physics. And any concept added to the framework would be a derivative of one of the combination of the three concepts. So you're just preaching at me. I don't believe that shit, okay? I don't believe volume means anything. I don't think volume matters. Volume is going to be the consequence. Volume is a byproduct of the fact that there's distance between things. It doesn't mean anything. It has no function. It's nothing. I contend that all three concepts, here we go again, must be finite in a finite volume. Well, you can contend anything you want. I don't give a shit. So again, it's all back to this creation shit. I just couldn't give a rat's ass about. And all three concepts are fundamental. I say nothing can create or destroy them. Oh yes, it'd be very hard to destroy a nothing. Therefore, they must have always existed. Well, I don't. Who cares? Okay, I'm not even gonna bother with the rest of this shit. I just couldn't care less. So yeah, I think we're sort of done. You're not gonna pay any attention to this project at all, and you're just gonna do your own agenda thing. Fuck that. All right, I guess we're done. Barabbas GM equals king of Kyrgyzstan or something. Fuck you. Jeez, I just hate these people. So Slappy the possessed ventriloquist dummy. You know, that's just a name that's going to get you blocked probably anyway. I don't know if I'm going to bother with this. Excellent point about the Eddington experiment. The margin of error was too great to confirm or disprove relativity. At least that was the criticism leveled at Eddington at the time. A lot of people seem to think that Einstein won the Nobel Prize. Yeah, we already know that part. Let's see. When actually it was the photoelectric effect. Okay, GR wasn't thoroughly verified. It was never thoroughly verified. Alright, I mean, time dilation doesn't verify it. Time dilation can be explained by a lot of other theories. You don't need GR to do it, as I have pointed out. So it hasn't been verified. What verifies general relativity? What? Jeez. Verified by experiment until early 1970s. What experiment verified it? Jerk. Oh, there's a relationship between time, metabolism retardation of atoms and velocity. Now, that doesn't prove GR. That just proves the relationship between velocity and metabolism retardation. Alright, Slappy has some other question. Do you think the theory explains dark matter? Why would I bother explaining dark matter when it's a completely invented piece of crap? Nothing should explain it because it's nonsense. It's like, well, your theory explained the talking bears and the three bears story. No, it doesn't. I don't waste my time doing that. Because dark matter is used to explain gravitational aberrations. Well, I already went over this stupid aberration nonsense, which doesn't mean anything. This gravity, like a light bulb, is spread over a whole 180-degree plane of a sphere. There's no such thing as an aberration. That are inconsistent with not only GR but also Newton's gravity, unless there's dark matter. Well, now that's just crap. Because physicists make wrong assumptions about where the mass is in a galaxy does not mean that we have to fix gravity. So, to clarify, how does your theory do any better at explaining dark matter? Again, why would I explain dark matter? It's a contrived pile of shit. A fable, a fairy tale. It is the most God-of-the-gap element of all physics conversations. Well, next to Copenhagen and many worlds. It's just as made up as that shit. When it's not changing any of the math that has to do with gravity. Well, like I said, their math is broken because their assumptions are wrong. How does your theory account for the observed bending of light around massive bodies? So again, go ahead and show me that. Show me your hard evidence that that ever happens in reality. In reality. Both GR and Newton's model predict light bending. Well, Newton didn't have much of a prediction. Okay, so I think that's being unfair to Newton, because Newton didn't know whether photons were masses or not. Thanks. I look forward to hearing your response. I don't think you can go ahead and look forward to it, but you're not going to like it. So now he says some other Rubin router. Glibites equal knee jerks and such. Whatever. Just not enough of it's. There's no meat in any of this mushy commenting. The critiques suck, and the applause. People don't even know how to properly clap. Hey, it doesn't work that way. It's like that's a proton, that's an electron. They're not compatible. Fuck. So anyway, so I think we're done. Yes, the rest of our bullshit comments I've already dealt with. So it's disgusting. Anyway. So anyway, yes, I'm just adding to the litany of winning arguments. So now we've got the strong nuclear force nailed. Magnetism nailed. Time dilation nailed. Well, atom metabolism retardation. Multitasking, simple as that. What else? So gravity explained, velocity explained, time explained, velocity, symptoms of velocity sickness, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so anyway. Now to get some real people to do this arguing. Real people with reputations they're worried about, and we'll see how long it takes them, like I said. So, yeah, so if somebody can think of a way to do the, whatever you call that, got the name of it again, you know, when you sort of bet on who will die first, you know, who will show up when there's no chairs left, who will wait till the last minute, you know, and really look like a loser. Yeah, who will be dumber, Holiday or Pirro? Who will have less integrity? That's what it'll come down to, because this argument is just too good. You can't just make up shit that fits all of these conditions. You just can't. You can't just randomly make up bullshit and have it fit this many conditions. So, fuck you fucking fuckers.